Thank you very much for Vinicia and Laetitia and all the person who organized the events in South Africa. This is my first time in South Africa. This is my first really ever international speech in English. So please forgive me if my English is not good at the time, but I'm trying very hard. Okay, so what Vanessa previously said is that community are very important, and she showed it on the health point of view. But the thing is that before that we can create online community, we need to have people who are aware and we know how to use the digital tools that are available in order to build community. And that's my point today, because today in my country we have around 20% of people who have access to the internet, and I've noticed that most people around me don't know how to use a computer or how to use a digital and what they call Android phone, otherwise than going on Facebook. Okay, so this is a bit of my background. So I am the manager of a company called Congo Web Agency. I'm also the president of a non-profit organization whose name is AMID, and now I'm creating a new school for empowering women and people on the digital industry, which is called Africa Digital Academy. And when I came back in Congo in 2009, I was the first woman to make web design in Congo. And so, I have one life, but many jobs. So I've been a housekeeping, I've been a model, I've been an actress, I've been a phone operator, and I've not really a lot of things. And but today, and for 10 years now, I've been living in Congo. And where is Congo? Congo is this small place in the center of Africa. We call, my part is called Congo Brazzaville, as a comparison to the Congo RDC, which is our big neighbor in the front of us, big neighbor and cousin also, and fam, because we are family also. And we have, okay, we used to be all country, so but now we are experiencing quite a great crisis because the price of the oil decreased. So it's very tough for us now in Congo, but we try to hold on. And my story about to understand why I've chosen to empower people in the digital industry, you need to know about my story. And my story started in Paris, Paris mon amour. But my Paris was not fashion, my Paris was not glamour, my Paris was very tough. Because when I finished my study, after 6 years of university, I did have two choices. Either work as a temporary assistant or ever work as a manager, but I was very well paid. And at that time, I chose money because I had some loan because of my study. And so I chose to work as a temp. But one day while I was working in a very remote places in Paris, I had kind of crisis and I started to cry because actually I did study for 6 years and okay, I was very well paid, but it was not what I've signed for. And starting from that point, I remember that day it was very special because it was under one of this kind of rain, you know, it was very cold, and I was cold, and I was just crying because, okay, I did have a job, but I was not fulfilled with that job. I was not happy with that job. And I started to think, okay, you're not happy with your job, but you have been at the university for 6 years now, so you have a mind. Just start to think. I said, you are in the 21st century, so what will make a difference for you? What is the innovation? What, I say, first I started to think, electricity, no, that's right. I think transportation, high-speed train, no, that's right. And then I think about the internet. And it was in 1998, and from that very moment, I only earned my life with the internet thing. And the first thing I made when I came back home that night was to create my first website, and my first website was my resume. And then in 1999, as you can see there, I've registered a domain name. And that domain name later, in 2006, became my company name. But so I started at the university. And this And then I also noticed then I started to work on the internet as a consultant, and I also invested money on the stock exchange, because at that time, we are late in the 90s, it was the first internet bubble, what they call bubble, which means that in the morning you can buy some shares at 10, and then 1 week later the value threefold, which means that the value 1 week later is something like $30. So I made really a lot of money during 2 years, during 2 or 3 years. And I made quite good investment, which is explain why today, even if I'm not making a lot of money, but I can afford to make and to make some travel, because at that time I did invest my money very well. And but what I noticed from my life, and when I look at behind me, is that all my important choices in my life, even if they have been implemented in Paris, in Africa, they start in Paris. Okay, so when I knew about the internet, it was in Paris. The second time that I realized that I was still again in another internet bubble in Africa, it was also in Paris. And when I attended a Congolese woman meeting in Paris, I've just realized that, okay, I need to get out of my comfort zone and do things different. It was also in Paris. So let's move on. So what the internet has done for me, like I say you, that internet that just saved my life. Because, okay, though I was graduated, but I was just, my fate was to work in a company, and well, like we say in French, métro, boulot, dodo. So you go, you take the tube, you go to the job, and then you wait for your holidays, and when you wait for the holidays, and just knowing about the internet just disrupted my life, because that's what internet did for me. Okay, so, but internet disrupted my life, and I started to create websites in Congo, in Africa. But what if you live in an environment but people don't know about what you're doing? But people, when you're talking about internet, they say, what? Internet connection? I said, no, internet content. And worst, one day I just realized that even some of my workers and the people that working with in my non-profit organization didn't know how to use correctly a computer or a digital phone. And that very day, I had realized that digital gap, digital divide was not something far. So digital gap was at my feet. And it was very important for me to reduce that digital divide, because I'm creating content. If there is nobody to see this content, so it's not worth creating content. So first, in order to create websites to have success, I need also to be sure that people will see my content and will be able to see it and to use it. And so that's why. That's when my commitment about the digital industry started. So I say, okay, now you've been very lucky, you have been making a lot of money in the digital industry, okay, but you are not still happy. So I just found out that maybe more fulfilled about what I was doing is to be committed in the digital industry, but the social side. So I start to make a different plan. And I say, if you, like it is quoted here, if you want something you must be willing to do something you have never done. And that's what I try to do, because then I decided to be more committed in the digital industry. So what I do is that I created that non-profit organization with AMID Congo. And in AMID Congo, then I created an event which is called Digital Solidarity Days. So during 3 days, we have 3 days to reduce the digital gap in remote and poor area in the suburb of Pointe Noire. Pointe Noire is the city where I live in Congo. So we did have several activities, training lesson, workshop in web design, digital after work for entrepreneurs, and we also organized a startup trophy challenge to empower the best local startup. That's what we did during these 3 digital days. And the first edition of these 3 digital days took place in June. And I must admit that for me, organizing it was it took me about a year. Between the fact to have the idea and to have enough courage to realize it, because it was a lot of commitment, but we did it. And this is what it started. It is the headquarters of my association, and this is in mid-May. So in mid-May, 15 May, there was absolutely almost nothing. Because, money started to arrive, but not a lot. So in just 15 days, we managed to build these small premises and to have it decorated. And in 50 days also, we bought tables, and a non-profit organization loaned us some computer. And so we've been able to welcome people in quite good surroundings, because at the beginning we did have absolutely nothing, but I was so committed, I was so determined that I said that I need to do this event, even if we need to welcome the people on the ground and computer, but we absolutely need to do it. And that's what we did. And what we did, but not only we reached the target as far as the number of persons is concerned, but also we raised about 15 million francs, which is 366,000 ranks on 1 month. Since I was very, very determined. So I just went through all the door, I went through all the windows that could be open. I just took my phone directory and I called everybody, just say, okay, what can you do for us? Even if it's not money, please, can you find us a computer? Please, can you find us, I don't know, some water, some coffee, or whatever you can bring to us, but okay. And so we did, and it did successfully quite. So in 3 days we reached 1,200 people, and this is where the premises you saw of headquarters of AMID, where we welcome children and elderly also, and we also been in schools, in local school, to teach to children computer sciences, but also the danger about social media awareness that we did. And also, so this is what we did in school, in local school in Pointe Noire. Also, this is a web design and Photoshop workshop for 3 days, 90% we reached. And this is the digital after work and the entrepreneur meetup that we made. And this is the trophy challenge that we organize here. This one, we received the trophy, is a young Congolese entrepreneur who's created an application which is called Congo Work. It's about job creation. It's a job creation application. And the other one, he created a website about for helping young Congolese children to do their homework. Okay, so they won a trophy during that event. And then, so we are finished with the digital solidarity day, and then we still have this computer. So I decided that we need to run another event in July and August, and this other event was a digital and culture bootcamp for kids in order to fight laziness during holidays. And the goal was to increase digital literacy of young people and fight against laziness during the holiday. So we did it for 2 sessions of 10 days. And okay, here you can see. And the children were working on a program which is called Scratch. And then they have a sportive or cultural activity. So this is my third project. This is my new baby, which is called Africa Digital Academy. And the aim is to empower efficiently a group of people in using digital tools. So for the first edition, we will use WordPress. And the aim is to enable some women which are already entrepreneurs to build their online presence okay, is to make them understand that having a shop on Facebook is good, but sometimes you can have some problem in Facebook and you need to be independent. And that's the aim of the first edition of Africa Digital Academy. So, and this is, oops, sorry. Okay, so voilà, okay. The aim of the Digital Academy is to increase content and the quality of the local internet content for Congo first, and then for the rest of Africa. Our edition will be dedicated, our first education will be dedicated to website, but for other edition, we will be producing other projects such as MOOC, massive online courses, or vlog, or phone application. So our aim is really to help people to be independent and to acquire that literacy so that they can correctly, properly, and profitably use the digital tools and be part also of this digital revolution. Okay? And for other edition, we target mostly group of people. So for other edition, we will have public administration, we will have schools, we will have church, and cultural operators. Okay, so this is the coach for the Africa Digital Academy. So this is a virtuous cycle of knowledge because I am passing my knowledge to them so that they can empower other people. Okay, this is what I call virtuous cycle of knowledge. And yes, so it's me, myself, during 4 days, 1 week, we are together, so I show them how to use WordPress, and I show them the few points about social media management, e-reputation, SEO, and everything, so that they can then empower other people for the academy. And yes, and other action also I'm doing is that I'm teaching marketing 4.0, so I'm teaching people about the GAFA, the natives, and the Africa disruption and everything. And also I'm a speaker. I'm talking about gender gap, digital gap, because that's another thing in Africa. About something like 25% of African women are digital literate. Okay, so that's a problem also that we need to focus on. And okay, so this is my conclusion. You know, I'm working in a country that is not always a fairy tale. It's very hard because most time when I start with a project, I have no money, nobody is encouraging me, but I'm doing it, though I'm doing it. So life isn't about waiting for the storm to pass. It is about learning to dance in the rain. That's what I would like to say. And then I say, if you have a project, you need to start where you are, with what you have, but you need to have a big vision, and that vision that will follow you, that will lead you to the place where you want to be. Okay, and so I promise to be very short, so thank you for your attention, and you can find me on Twitter and LinkedIn, okay? And for me, it was not obvious to prepare this presentation because it was, I don't like to speak about me, but sometimes I think it's very useful also. Okay, thank you.